And moving on, the political fallout from former President Donald Trump's harsh comments about ex-Israeli Premier Benjamin Netanyahu that were published this weekend in an interview with the journalist Barak Raviv has also included the group that is probably the most supportive of both those leaders, American evangelicals. And one of them, Mike Evans, responded by writing a letter to Trump that he shared with the Washington Post, in which he told the Republican leader, quote, "Understand that Benjamin Netanyahu has much greater support among evangelicals in America than you. Please, I beg of you, don't put us in the position to choose between you and Bible land. There is no possibility you can win again if Bible-believing evangelicals seeing you as the F-U-C-K Netanyahu president who blames the state of Israel and not the Palestinians for not making peace." Well, joining us now is Dr. Mike Evans, founder and CEO of the Friends of Zion Museum in Jerusalem, speaking to us this evening from Dallas, Texas. And Mike, thanks for joining us. Do you really believe that Benjamin Netanyahu enjoys greater support among evangelicals than Donald Trump? Not all of your fellow evangelicals seem to agree in, for example, that Washington Post article.
Well, on the support, they do agree. Benjamin Netanyahu has been building that support for decades, and it's not divisive. Benjamin Netanyahu has the support of evangelicals. The president has support, but he has also many that are not supporting him now. My concern was his latest statements, because the fundamental reason why we evangelicals elected Donald Trump was over Israel. And if you start attacking Israel, blaming Israel for not having the peace process and calling Abbas a father figure, it's very damaging to our support, and we want him to have our support.
Right. You touch on that in your comments, because I don't think at this stage the supporters of President Trump or former President Trump are surprised at the language he uses, that he's upset about those who don't support his views about the last election. I think what really surprised people was that he said that Mahmoud Abbas seemed to be more sincere in wanting peace than Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, talk about that and your reaction even to seeing that comment.
Well, that is completely shocking. I want to say something. When the current government started coming in place, I was concerned because of an Arab party coming to the government. But I can tell you this, your foreign minister, Lapid, and your prime minister, Bennett, are doing a spectacular job. And one of the things that concerns me is this move towards Abbas, making him into a Gandhi-like figure. This is something that evangelicals 100% will reject. And to blame Israel, to say Israel is the reason. Listen, Abbas boycotted Donald Trump for the whole presidency. He hated him. He despised him. He did everything in his power to reject him. So to show this kind of compassion and lovey-dovey towards Abbas is very problematic for our base.
Right. Now, let's be realistic. Certainly evangelicals, certainly Republican evangelicals are not going to turn around and support Democrats. But do you think comments like this, in a sense, could push support among evangelicals for some of the possible competitors or contenders to Donald Trump within the party? People like Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, who have long records of supporting Israel.
Listen, 100%. You're hitting on a core issue. Example, Mike Pence. Mike Pence is the strongest pro-Israel politician in America, according to Ambassador Ron Dermer, and I believe him. Mike Pence is mega pro-Israel, and he's evangelical. Mike Pompeo, mega pro-Israel, evangelical. Neither of them have had a path into the presidency. Right now, with what Donald Trump stating what he's stating is actually giving them a lot of support, because when you say F Netanyahu, you're talking about a gentleman who's the Donald Trump of Israel. Churchill and Reagan were their heroes. They're very similar men in many ways. So it's very problematic for our base for the president to take this position.
Right. Mike, can I ask you, have you received reactions from fellow evangelicals? I don't expect you to name names, but maybe on or off the record, since your comments were the contents of your letter was published. I would imagine you're getting it on both sides.
I can tell you, I was one of the 25 advisors to the president, and I was the pro-Israel link to the evangelicals. And I can say the vast majority of them agree with me. Now, they won't say it publicly, because they don't want to incur the wrath of Donald Trump by speaking truth to power. I want to say this. Donald Trump was the most pro-Israel president in American history. I support President Trump and what he's done for Israel. I'm just encouraging him, please don't take the position you're taking, because it's going to hurt you with our base.
Well, let me ask you, say, don't take the position you're taking. Is it enough that former President Trump simply doesn't raise these issues again? Or in your feeling, does he have to try to make some kind of public statement or gesture? We know he doesn't like to say he's sorry or that he regrets, but that maybe those views he expressed in that interview maybe don't in some way reflect what he believes now.
He will have to correct this record, and I'll tell you why. If he runs for the presidency, this will be one of the first things they'll address him with. And I can tell you this, among Bible believer evangelicals, they will never exchange Bible land in favor of a president. If the president is wanting to blame Israel for not giving up Bible land for peace, they won't support him. They won't support him. So he's going to have to correct this. By the way, if he does, it'll be the first time he's done it. But I think it's going to happen in some way, because it was a terrible mistake on his part.